Hello, my name's Richard. I'm a counselor. I've been in the counseling field for a little over 35 years, helping folks to get in touch with their feelings and help them move through tough feelings like loss and grief. Today, I'd like to do a session, an EFT session or tapping on loss and grief. But before we get started, I'd like to share a couple of poems and ideas that help us get in touch with our feelings and help us have some insight about how to accept our feelings, no matter how powerful or how strong they are. The first poem is by Rumi, a 13th century poet. It's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And I'd like to also read a few lines from a more current poet, if I can say her name right, Ijeoma Uwabinio from Nigeria. You must allow the pain to visit. You must allow it to teach you. You must not allow it to overstay. So I like to think of grief and loss as sort of like emotional visitors that we must allow to come into our awareness, let them visit for a while, let them teach us what they have to teach us. And lots of times that's compassion and other things as well. But we don't want to allow grief and loss to own the house and live there forever and become a full-time resident. It may come back to visit many times, but we don't want them to live there forever. Now, grief and loss can be from the past, more recent, or even future grief. I've experienced all of these. In my family, I've lost several brothers. Parents have died, grandparents, a grandson. A little over 5 years ago, my wife passed away. And I have an older brother who's predicted to only have 2 or 3 months to live. So that would be considered future grief. And the thoughts and feelings that come up about that one as well. Before we get started with the tapping, though, I'd like to do a couple of grounding techniques that help us get in touch with our feelings. And our feelings reside in our body. And one of the things that I have found out is that we want to sort of slow down, take slower breaths, let ourselves get in touch with the feelings in our bodies. And the first exercise, or grounding exercise, I call the butterfly breathing technique. And what we want to do is, as we're breathing in slowly through our nose, we're going to stretch our arms out and stretch them all the way till you can feel it in your shoulders. Breathe out through your mouth as you bring your hands down to your heart. Let's do a few more of those. Breathing in through the nose. Nice deep breath. Stretching out our arms. Breathing out through our mouth. Let's do a couple more. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing out through the mouth. And each time you breathe in and breathe out, take 4 or 5 seconds. Breathing in, nice and slowly. Breathing out, nice and slowly. This exercise helps us reduce anxiety and stress in 2 ways. One, when we're focusing on breathing and stretching out our arms and stuff, that means we're not thinking about whatever's creating anxiety. And then the second thing is that there's something very kind of magical about this placing our hands on our heart. Very relaxing, very comforting, sort of, I can do this, I can get through this, I'm okay. And then our second grounding exercise, I call a compassion meditation. Gently close your eyes. In your mind, think of someone or something, maybe an animal or pet, that brings a smile to your face. And in your mind or out loud, if it feels appropriate, say these words. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. And then let's say those same words to ourselves. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. Gently open your eyes. What these two things do together, these two exercises, the compassion meditation and the butterfly breathing, is they help to build a mind-heart coherence so that our mind and our heart are connected. It's helped us relax and allow different kinds of feelings that might be painful to move through us in a more comfortable way. So let's begin tapping. And I'll start with what we call a setup statement. We want to start tapping on the side of our hand. We also call this the karate chop point. Even though I'm having all of this grief and this loss, and I'm not sure I can handle it, and I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with these feelings, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now, if any of the words that I say are a little too hard to hear, or you can't quite feel like, yeah, I really don't feel like loving myself right now, then we'll say it more like this maybe. Even though I'm having all these tough feelings of grief and loss and sadness and maybe guilt and anger, I'd like to be able to deeply and completely love and accept myself. Or maybe like this, even though I'm having all these tough feelings, grief and loss, maybe anger, guilt, sadness, I choose to accept how I am feeling right now. Let's do a few more. Even though I'm having all these feelings that are sometimes overwhelming, gut-wrenching, painful, I deeply and completely love and accept myself and how I'm feeling right now. Top of the head. All these feelings. Eyebrows. Overwhelming feelings. Side of the eye. Grief, sadness, loss. Under the eye. And notice where you feel these feelings in your body. Under the nose, maybe in your chest, maybe in your stomach, maybe the solar plexus, maybe in your shoulders or your throat or your eyes. Just pay attention to where they are. Point. All this sadness. Under the arm, I feel it in my body. Top of the head. Grief, sadness, anger, guilt, all of them, sometimes all at once. Eyebrows. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with this. Side of the eye. Sometimes it feels like it's too much to bear. under the eyes. Maybe I can deal with them one at a time. Under the nose. I can feel it in my body. Maybe I can't feel it in my body. Collarbone point. Either way, it's okay. All this sadness. Why did they have to leave me? I think I'm still in denial. I don't want to believe this is true. It can't be true. It must be true. I can accept how I feel either way. All this confusion. I don't know what to do next. Maybe I'm in the bargaining phase. Maybe if I make a deal with God, maybe if I make a deal with someone else, maybe if I make a deal with the doctors, maybe if I make a deal with my higher self, somehow I need to get through this. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. One minute at a time, one breath at a time. Top of the head. Maybe I'm feeling angry. Angry at God. Angry at the person who died. Angry at myself. Angry at the medical people. Angry at the doctors. Angry at the hospital. Angry at the nurses. Angry at other family members. It's okay to have these feelings. Maybe I'm just feeling sad. Maybe I'm even depressed. Maybe I'm afraid of depression. Been depressed before. It scared me. I don't want to have to go through all this. Why should I have to go through this? Maybe it's more than once. Maybe it's again. Top of the head. Maybe I'm moving towards acceptance. Maybe I believe that all humans are just energy beings. And since energy can't be created or destroyed, maybe there's some way of still connecting with the person who passed over. I'd like to believe that. Oh, I think that's all nonsense. But what if it isn't? With the arm, I wonder. Maybe I can be open to the possibility of being surprised. Maybe what this visitor of grief and loss has to teach me is something I don't know already. Maybe there's an opening in me. Maybe there's something I need to learn. Maybe it's deepening my compassion. Compassion for others. Compassion for the person who died. Top of the head. Compassion for myself. Compassion that says it's okay to have all of these feelings. Compassion to allow myself the time it takes to work through this stuff. Compassion for allowing each of these feelings to come one at a time or many at a time. Grief, loss, sadness, anger, guilt, and maybe many more feelings. Allowing myself to have these feelings. Recognizing they can come in waves. Recognizing the waves may get a little bit shorter and a little bit longer at times. Maybe the waves will come all at once. Maybe they'll just trickle in a little bit at a time. Allowing myself the time to work through this grief and loss with whatever feelings come up. Allowing my body to heal in its own time. Not pressuring myself at all. Being compassionate with myself. Whether it's past, present grief, recent grief, future grief, traumatic grief. Allowing myself to heal from any of these. Take a deep breath right here. Allow yourself to just acknowledge where you're at. Allow yourself to feel whatever's going through your mind and your body. Paying attention to whether or not the grief and sadness and emotion may have moved to some other place in your body. Recognizing what it feels like now. Has it diminished a little bit? It may have even grown. It may be a little bigger than it was just because you opened the door and allowed them to come in. Remembering that grief is a visitor that has something to teach us, a visitor that doesn't live in our house. It comes to stay for a while and leaves and may come back again. Another deep breath. Thank you.